truly, truly excited, my man.
Yes, sir.
Matt Lowe, head high school football coach, Powell, Tennessee, Powell High School, offensive coordinator in my day.
Back in the day.
Larry Stevens was the boss man the whole time I was there. I don't know what year he took over. Coach Duncan went straight to Coach Stevens and straight to you, right?
Correct.
Yep. So I was telling somebody downstairs, you literally played scout team quarterback with your backwards visor, face bloody, when all us kids were younger. So it showed us what grit was, man. what tough suckers that love ball look like. You showed me that.
Well, bottom line, this game's always been a part of who you are. I said it was probably until I was about 40 or 41 before I finally gave up the realm. And every now and then it still, gets me excited. I'd still jump in there and try and run around. Usually about the time I fire the third string quarterback who's currently playing scout team, or we play a wing T team. Then I got to get back in there and get back under because these kids these days just don't understand that. But, growing up, I mean, you love playing the game. So even in a small dose, like playing scout team quarterback, it at least allows you to go out there and run around and have some fun.
No question. And you don't have – and I know you know, but you don't have any idea how much the kids just get fired up with that stuff. And I'm over at Bearden with Josh. The last thing Josh needs to do is play scout team quarterback.
100%
My
correct.
dog. But it was awesome, man. I got so many good memories of you. And obviously – with my dad being there back in the day, you and my pops, you were always so good to him, even when he was just completely off the rails. And you kept him around and loved him. So many people stopped loving him, and you never did.
Me and your dad had a great relationship. I tell people, obviously, it went the way it went, there toward the end. But for a brief moment in time, me and your dad was as close as any other grown man that I knew. We spent a lot of time together, whether it was talking ball or talking kids or talking about the knuckleheads that some of you guys were at the time and what we were going to do to try and, get you guys to right the ship. But me and your dad were extremely close. There were a lot of nights that we spent time on the phone and time just hanging out with each other, talking ball, talking opponents, or talking about anything else that was East Tennessee.
Yeah, no question. I'll never forget. I don't remember if it was – so he passed when I was in college. So I had to have been home like one of my college off seasons or something. So I didn't come home very often because I couldn't miss my donating plasma days in Huntington, and I had to mow my yards. But we got home a little bit. I remember I came by the school or something, and you just looked at me and you said, it's gotten badly. And for you to say that, and because I had seen it, and I kind of knew that it was probably coming close to the end there, but you always had his back and always loved him. So I hope I appreciate that too. Because at that point I hated him.
I know, and it's tough. But at the same time, him and I did have a different relationship. And so it was somewhere between best friends and somewhere between I was the head coach and he was the O-line coach / offensive coordinator. And so we spent a lot of time together and so I got to see so many of the high points. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was around to see some of the other as well. But, you learn to live with people, and you learn to see what you can get the best out of them. And, sometimes it works.
No question. So I had breakfast yesterday with Scott Holtzman. Hot Sauce Holtzman. He's a UFC guy.
Yeah.
Tough joker. I mean, I was in the UFC for 8 years. Just a great guy. And he was a couple years older than me at Central. So it's cool because I had so much hate in my heart as a young kid. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you letting your family down type stuff? And just the more and more people I see, they're like, hey, man, like, yeah, he struggled at the end, but let me tell you about how that dude impacted my life. And it's everywhere I go, a lot of places I go. So it's cool. He was a big sorry son of a gun. But Powell football, so what year did you take over as the head coach? Literally the year I left, I think.
Yep, 2006. Basically, spent 1 year as Clark Duncan as the head coach. I was a wide receiver coach. The following year, he stepped away, got into administration. Larry Stevens took over, who was the previous offensive coordinator, took over as head coach. Larry was head coach for 3 years. I was the offensive coordinator underneath Larry for those 3 years. And then following the 2005 season is when Larry stepped away, and so I took over in 2006.
I love it, man. I love it. So, state champ. We won't talk about this past season. We'll let West have their glory.
Yep.
But talk about it, man. Like, we're not going to get into local drama too much, but we know that a lot of people would like Matt Lowe to be their head high school football coach, and we also know that you don't get rich coaching high school football.
Correct.
But you love the Powell community. Obviously, when you moved on to King's Academy, there were goals to be in the private sector and do some things, and there's financial reasons behind that and different things. But your heart's always been in Powell, man. We both know that. And now you're back, and to bring a state championship to your community and your school had to be as sweet as it gets.
Well, it was unreal, and I tell this story all the time, but I mean, literally, my father grew up 2 miles from Powell High School, went to school all the way through, and he played for Powell a long time ago, back in 68, 69, 70. And so, all I'd ever known growing up was Powell. My dad was the youth league commissioner for 9 years. My mom was the youth league, cheerleading commissioner for like 10 or 12 years. I grew up at Levi Park. We never ate dinner at my house till 10:30 at night, and that was all after all the trash had been taken out at the park, all the lights were turned off, everything had been inventoried. That was just what I'd grown up knowing, and so that's all I'd ever known. And so, growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a Panther. I got that opportunity from there. I was blessed enough to go away to school, play a little ball, and then, I spent a couple of years after college in the private business world, wearing a suit every day, and it didn't take me too long to figure out that wasn't what I was called to do. That wasn't what I was created to do, as my mom puts it. Came back home, got started, but yeah, I mean, Powell's always going to be home, no matter whatever happens. Was there, I guess, 5-6 years, and then there was an opportunity for me and the entire family to go out to the King's Academy. And, at the time I left, it was the right time to go out there for me and the family. So many things fit. The chance to start a program out there and, try to build something, and then, there were a lot of good things that happened out there, but it just wasn't home. And so then when that opportunity came for me to come back to Powell, now I'd tasted, success. We had tasted it before we left. We got to play for a state title in 11. Support coaching decisions gave that title away back then. And so, but that had always been something that I'd always, wanted to give that community as a player, wanted to give it, as the first time through as a coach. And so when I came back, that was the goal. I joke with the kids or sometimes don't joke with the kids, the coaches. I don't care about regular season wins. I don't care about region championships. We're only in this thing for one prize, and that's to hang a banner. That's to get a gold trophy to put in that, in the main lobby of that school, so that the people of this community have a lot of pride. They show up every Friday night, whether you're winning or losing, not just in football, but in so many of the sports, so many of the activities that go on. Powell is a community that really prides itself of being part of and associated with Powell High School. You wanted to give something back to that community. And so, in 2021, it all kind of came together. We thought we had a chance to do that in 19. Some things fell apart there in the third round, but certainly in 21, some things fell in place and a lot of unbelievable coaches. Obviously, there was a lot of unbelievable talent that was on that team, but at the end of it, they were finally able to get it done. I don't know that, that community didn't just take a big sigh, but to watch those young people out there on that field celebrating after that ball game, to watch what happened over the next 3 months within the community of everybody just, celebrating what those young men had accomplished. It's something that I'll never forget. It's something that me and any member of that staff will never forget. The problem is now it gives you a taste of what it's like, and now you just want to find a way to repeat it over and over again. And so many of the small things no longer matter. It's about getting to those moments that you all get to sit back and enjoy together.
I love it, man. And I tell kids all the time, we got a lot of kids in here that have had a lot of success. We got some West football players. They won a state championship. I know that one's sour. Sorry.
It's okay.
We got Catholic girls just won a state championship in basketball. Catholic tennis is #1 in the country right now.
Yep.
Beard and soccer is unbelievable. Beard and basketball went to the state championship a couple years ago.
Yep.
And I tell them, I'm like, listen, guys, I've played ball my entire life until 16 months ago. I've never won a championship. Like, you all need to understand how special this is. It's not easy. It's what we're all after, and most people never get it. I literally played sports till I was 34 years old, and I never won a championship at any, maybe little league,
right.
but nothing that was like that stamp of legacy type win.
Correct.
And I was with you for, we walked off Maryville High School's football field all 4 years I was in high school.
That's right.
See ya, go home. I'm pretty sure they won all 4 when I was in high school. Derek Hunt, shout out to Derek. I'm pretty sure he was on that team back then.
Yeah, he was on those teams.
Yeah.
He was the little guy out there running around.
What a dude. What a great guy.
No doubt.
Are you kidding me? It was cool because Triple F got pushed back so much, I was able to really get out in the community with Rich and meet a lot of these guys that I just didn't know because I'd been gone for so long. And when I was back in the off season, all I wanted to do was enjoy my family and just kind of decompress and relax. And just to go see the Brian Nix and Derek Kuntz and you and get to know Josh, even though I went to Catholic and obviously we're back at Bearden now, but getting with Josh and just so many of the coaches in this community that are working for pennies on the dollar because they love kids, they love football. And Derek's one of my favorites.
Without a doubt. And I think that's so undervalued here in this Knoxville area is I think there are a lot of great high school football coaches. And any number of those guys you just named could at any point make that jump and go be successful, college football coaches. But a lot of them don't want to. That's not their aspirations. They enjoy their role within this game of developing 14 to 18-year-olds. They enjoy being a part of a community that comes together on Friday nights and gets to celebrate one of the last pure things that's out there. We've always talked about it, inside of that locker room, it's amazing the emotions and all the different individuals that are in there, and now how they all have to walk out there and work together. But I was very much follow the same path as you until last year. There wasn't any championships. As a freshman in high school, I was on the 91 PAL team that got to go and, absolutely get creamed by Brentwood Academy, but got to play for a title. And then as a sophomore, it was a semifinal round loss. And then in college, my senior year, we're up 11 with 2.5 minutes to go to win a conference championship, and somehow that slipped away. I'd never got to put the jewelry on. That was so much of that burning desire was to be a part of something where you win that last one and you finally get that ring because, in the sport we live in, that's the one thing that everybody's chasing and to be able to finally get that and to get it with the group that we got it with those kids, with that emotion, with so many of the people who had invested in the program, it was unbelievable and it was such a great give back to the entire community. But personally to those coaches and those young people who put in that work.
We what year was it, Lord? 2020, I think.
Yep.
I walked off the field in Kansas City. Josh, it was his first time in that moment. We were a young team in Buffalo, and Pat and Andy had been there before, and they beat our brains in. And obviously the shootout Josh and Pat had the next year was what I consider the best NFL football game I've ever watched, but
a lot of fun to watch.
I've only watched about 3 in my life. So, but walking off that field, knowing you barely missed a Super Bowl and all those things, obviously that was horrific. Let's get rid of that. That's the farthest I've ever been. But won a lot of big games and a lot of big moments.
Right.
There's nothing when you see a bunch of grown men acting like kids and celebrating success. It's awesome, but it doesn't compare to the look on a 16-year-old's face when he's in that moment. It's just so special, and that's why I have so much respect. We're not in Texas. We're not in Florida. If people knew what these high school coaches' hours looked like compared to what they get paid here in Knox County, it's inspiring what you guys do, man. It's cool. It's awesome, and it's for these kids, and that's what makes it so special. The dudes that are doing it for the right reasons fire me up, and that's why you're sitting here.
It's one of the things we talk about a lot within our program is enjoy the moments of success. Because football is different than all the other sports. It's different than all the AAU basketball and all the travel softball. And I've been to a million games with my daughter Lizzie, traveling around, and they give out lots of rings and lots of trophies. But at the same time, football is different because you're going to practice 4 to 5 days a week, and you get one game at the end of it. Enjoy the moments of success. You've worked your tail off. For 9 months, you've prepared, you've trained, you've gotten ready for that week 1 ball game. And the only thing you're guaranteed are 10 opportunities to go out there and play, but you're going to practice for an entire year. So many of the other sports are going to play 25, 30 contests during a year, and that's not including the amount of time they're going to play travel ball or AAU outside of it. These young people playing full pad contact football, they're only guaranteed those 10 games when they go through it, and they're spending just as much time in the offseason. So when things don't go your way, you got to get them fixed. But when they are successful, when they do have it, enjoy it, celebrate it, and sometimes that's been a fault. Sometimes that's been looked at in a negative light by the way we approach things at PAL. I'm okay with that. I'm not here to make all those people happy. I'm here to give those young people out there on that field an experience they're going to talk about for the next 40 years.
Well, the one thing I know about you, and I tell this to people all the time, Matt Lowe is the most misunderstood dude in this town because he's very unapologetic to people that don't know him, as he should be, because his concern is PAL high school football players,
Correct.
period. And that's sometimes what I think people miss is it's has nothing to do with anybody else. All he cares about in that moment is those kids, his kids.
Correct.
And when you get to the top and you play professional football, you have an appreciation for that because I never cared about the Seattle Seahawks. I didn't care if they were sad, mad. I didn't care. Right. All I cared about was my teammates.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I've loved about you. If people need to get to know Matt Lowe and how much you love those kids, and that's one thing you said a few weeks ago. Is you're like, man, I'm meant to be here with these kids, not only because they grew up in Powell, but because they're blue collar like I was as a kid. Some of them don't have a dad. I'm the only thing they have to look at. They get to see how I treat my bride and how I see Lizzie and treat her in the hallways at Powell. Like I'm meant to be at Powell, and I left once, but I won't leave again. Right. And it fires me up, man. It's funny you say that about all the rings and trophies and stuff. Brock, my younger one, he's a Smith.
That's my guy now.
Oh yeah.
That's my guy.
So he plays in these AAU tournaments, and he'll get like these second place things, and he'll just throw them away, and it makes Alicia so mad. And she's like, bro, because we built this little thing in his room, and he can hang all his ribbons, and it looks cool. And he's like, Mom, I shouldn't get something for second place. And I'm just sitting there like, oh God, I caused that. I had to listen to Alicia later when we go up to bed. But like you said, everybody wins the trophy stuff and all that. Like it doesn't happen in the game of football.
We don't.
It does not. And like how many freshmen would you say play varsity?
2, 3, 4 tops.
Tops.
If your team is good, you can't rely on those freshmen. Cool. You need 18-year-old grown men out there. You can't rely on the 14, 15. Now, there's always special athletes. Yep. You're going to find a way to mix them in.
It's just like rookies in the NFL. Your first-round pick better be ready to play.
That's right.
Your seventh-round pick's playing special teams.
Yep.
And that's the thing. So let's say as a sophomore you see the field. That's when you kind of get out there and get your first experience. None of these dudes are playing college football for the most part. You get 20 to 30 opportunities your whole life to play in a football game in front of a big crowd. If you don't, if I'm a butthole and you think I'm wrong because I'm jumping up and down and screaming and hollering and I'm even a poor sport, no. I'm excited for these kids and I'm gonna show my butt and they're gonna remember that moment with each other first. They're also gonna remember how much excitement I had for them in those moments because I've been chewing them for all week.
That's it.
And because 20 to 30 times in their life they get to experience this, and we're going to cherish every second of it.
And that moment doesn't repeat itself. Right. And it's so hard for people to understand. It's one of the reasons it's so hard for people to walk away from the game of football whenever it ends, whether it's at the professional level or at the college level or at high school. There's only so many moments in your life where there are 5,000, 6,000 people cheering for you to be successful.
Yeah.
And when you walk away from that, you don't get to repeat that. Whatever job you have, the rest of the company isn't cheering for you when you go and make a sale. Maybe there are some small moments here and there, but you can't replicate those type of emotions, those type of moments. When they run out of the tunnel as a senior, when it's senior night and they're out there with their mamas and dads out on the field, you can't repeat those moments that happen in your life, and you want those kids to have a positive experience. You want them to be able to walk away from the game knowing they gave it everything they had, but they had something positive happen to them that they can now pass on those memories and those moments to somebody else and get them to feel that same type of emotion that came through them, and now they're going to chase it the rest of their life in other small moments.
No question. And it's the biggest builder of character ever. That's like, I talk here, we had a staff meeting, and I'm like, listen, guys, I'm a crazy animal. Being a CEO and the boss is new to me. I'm used to being a teammate. I'm used to leading people, but I wasn't the boss as I led them. Now I'm trying to lead a team, and I'm the boss, so it's a new world for me. But I try to tell everybody all the time around here, everybody has 10% flaws. My 10% is different than Emily's 10%. Emily's 10% is different than Rich's 10%. Adarius, Nate, my mom, Heather, Brandon's, everybody that works here, all of us have flaws. But when you're teammates, you don't highlight your teammates' flaws. You let them know if they're letting you down. Like if I have to tell the right tackle what to do every play, it's like, come on, bro, study the playbook. For crying out loud. Now, but if he's an absolute just savage, I'll tell him what to do every play, right? But like it's so cool because outside of football, And there's just no time, and I'm learning this in the real world. There's no time ever that it's a true bond like that. Of like, I don't care about anything except making sure I don't let you down. And my staff here is really special. We got a special place. Don't get me wrong. And this place is unlike. I asked Emily earlier. I said, "Is this a real business? Like we're just in here partying with these kids and making memories and having fun, and nobody's getting yelled at or anything like that. But still, that intimacy of being in a practice when you can't breathe, you're so hot, and you're just looking at your buddy, and it's like, yep, he feels as bad as I do, so I'm not going to quit yet. It's really cool. Just the game of football. It's special and it's pure. And there's so much love. And that's the thing, man, is like everybody on the outside, the quote, the man in the arena?
Yep.
I know Tom Brady's big on the man in the arena quote. It's hanging at my house above one of my couches. Nobody sees what goes into it before Friday night. Everybody shows up, they buy their ticket, and they sit up there and they complain and yell and scream. And Matt Lowe, that was a bad call. And that's my favorite thing now that I'm in the real world. Because in the NFL, man, I leave the locker room, I go get in my car, and I go and enjoy dinner with my family. No one has access to the players as we leave. Now in this high school setting,
it's way different.
Brother, I'm leaving, and all the parents, it's like
they're all waiting on.
Oh, it's piranhas.
Yeah, buddy.
And they're all experts too, by the way, just in case. And it's like, what is going on? Like, were you all here all week? Do you all have any idea why that call was made? Now, granted, listen, I try to explain to people all the time. As a play caller, you're calling against percentages. On this down and distance, this team does this 78% of the time. So I'm making a call for that 78%. And at the high school level, we don't have Tom Brady to fix the 22%. The play's getting ran. And you're sitting over there as the play caller like, oh, crap. And there's nothing you can do because these high school quarterbacks aren't Tom Brady.
Nope.
Heck, some of the NFL guys aren't Tom Brady. Whatever play they get in their headset, even in the NFL, they're running it.
And it's read one.
And then the next day the Twitter goes off. This, Brian Dable, Buffalo Bills fans wanted to fire him. There's what's it called? What's the petition?
Yep.
Fire Brian Dable, right? He's the coach of the year for the New York Giants.
Weird how that works out.
Yeah. And it's like, guys, he can't be perfect. It's literally, we have a young quarterback in Josh. He's figuring it out. Now he's taking over the league by storm.
Right.
But then it was like, guys, you have to understand how much time and energy goes into these play call sheets. You've seen NFL play call sheets. I mean, it's bananas.
Yeah, it's unreal.
And everything is based off of percentages. Sometimes it's a guessing game. And then when the Bill Belichick's or whatever just go rogue and they call the right defense at the right time, and then it's there's 80,000 people that think they would have called a better play.
Oh yeah.
And guess what? Those 80,000 people, they just go to social media. They don't get access to us. Now at the high school level, they get access to you up close and personal, walking to your car.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Then on top of that, my cell phone's been the same number for 20 years. So just about everybody, especially in Powell, either I've gone to church with them or I grew up with them, or I've known them most of my life. And don't get me wrong, we're very blessed. We've had success, so we don't get near the criticism that maybe some other people do. But at the same time, it's one of the things that's probably tougher on my family than it ever is on me. Yeah. I know what I signed up for. I know what comes with my position, not only as a head coach, but as a play caller. I expect those type criticisms. Anybody who's been in the arena understands if you mess up, there's a butt chewing coming.
100%.
So we're welcoming the butt chewing because that's going to make us better the next opportunity that comes up that's very similar. But it's a lot tougher on your families. It's a lot tougher on your wives. It's a lot tougher on your kids when now, because of social media, a lot of that calling out or that butt chewing that you expect from your coach is now coming from some criticism of someone else from outside or sometimes from inside, yep. The community or the family. And so, it's one of those things you better get thick skin. You better understand how to let it roll off. Your opportunity or your job is to go and put the best product out there. Your job is to put you in the right situation so that those kids can be successful. They're also high school kids.
No question.
They're going to miss it. They're going to mess it up. The number one rule as the head coach, it's always my fault. No. It doesn't matter if it was good or bad. It's always going to be by fault. Now, usually my rule is very simple. When we have success, when things go right, the players made things right. When things get messed up, when we lose, when things don't go right, it's me and the coach's fault because we're the adults. So we're never going to let those kids take any type of that blame, But that's the arena we live in. We live in a very underpaid but very public criticized, job that we have. I've never showed up at any of my other family's jobs. I've never showed up at any of those people who are criticism of me. I've never showed up at their whatever job they have and started saying, hey, man, why in the world did you offer that money? I mean, man, you could have sold that guy if you had just made it 2,000 more. But, I've never done that. But we know what we're getting into when we signed up. We do it because of the passion for the game. We do it because of the impact, short term and more importantly, long term, we're going to have on some of these young people. And, in so many of our stories, it's because of the impact that this game had on us.
Yep.
It's because of the impact and the opportunity this game has had for me and my family. For my upbringing, for my opportunities to be the first one in my family to graduate from college just because I could run a little faster than some of the other people. Certainly changed my kids' life and lifestyle.
Yep.
I had an absolute blessing of an upbringing from my parents, two of the most loving people I've ever known. But there were a lot of things we went without. There were a lot of opportunities that we couldn't take advantage of because of some of the circumstances that we grew up in and around. Part of my job is to make things better for my family. Football has allowed me that opportunity to do that for my kids. And, there isn't much that my girls go without. Now, they might, get some sarcasm every time they want something from Amazon delivered tomorrow. And it takes 3 days to get here instead. But at the same time, that's what this game means to me. It changed my life. And more importantly, it changed my kids' life as the only thing they've ever known.
Yep. And that's what's awesome what's crazy, man, is I walk into the locker room after an NFL game, and these dudes are on their phones before they take their pads off. I got 21-year-old teammates. I got a 14-year-old son at home. Or I guess Brody was 13. So it's like they're closer in age to my kid. Yep. They're saying it's cap, it's this, it's that, all these. I'm like, I don't even know what y'all are talking about. But I'll go ask Brody for to be my translator for all these things y'all say. Right. Kyle Pitts couldn't even drink a beer legally when he was my teammate in Atlanta. But at the end of the day, 6,000 people show up because they love it. 100,000 people show up over here at Neyland every Saturday because they love it. So guess what? Josh Heupel, Matt Lowe, Lee Smith, regardless of what level you're at, they are obsessed with these games.
Year round.
And they love it. So guess what? When they aren't entertained and they aren't pleased, they paid to be there. It's no different than going to Regal Cinema and you watch a movie and you didn't like the ending. You have the right to, you paid your hard-earned money to be there. You have the right to your opinion, and that's what makes football so special.
That's right.
I think the change for me is in the NFL, they didn't have access to us. Yeah. So as long as you stay off your phone, you don't hear the noise.
Correct.
And I stayed off my phone. I don't do the social media stuff.
You're not good at it.
Yeah. So now I gotta walk through the parking lot and hear the opinions of 10 people that, by the way, are lawyers and doctors and mechanics.
Some of which want you to hear their opinion. Some of which think you're not around when they're giving their opinion.
Yeah, it's like, what are we talking about? So anyways, but much love to all the parents. But one thing's cool is it's different too because I'm just slowly learning about life after football. It's one thing for these people on the outside in the NFL that have their opinions. I never saw any of it. Now Alicia would, and she'd be raising Cain, and I'm like, babe, come on. Number one, no matter what they say in the stands, please just be quiet. I'm on the field. I'm not going to notice you up there fighting some man. Yeah. And by the way, all my dogs that would protect you too are out here with me.
They're unavailable.
We're all unavailable. We're all unavailable to defend your honor here. Please just ignore it if they say Lee Smith sucks because he jumped off sides. All right? Right. But so all the noise from the outside of the NFL never bothered me. I could care less. But now it's so intimate because it's these people's children. Yeah. Like they're watching their children.
These are their babies.
These are their babies, man.
That's right.
And I'm giving them a bunch of crap. I'm being funny. I understand why they're upset. They're hurting because their child lost the game. They're hurting because that 3rd and 2 wasn't converted, and they feel like their baby missed out. And it's just so cool with this shift of going into those parking lots and talking to families, and when they have their questions, and what I want to do is punch myself in the face, but really it's like, man, you know what? This is their child.
And it's personal to them.
No question.
It's personal to them. It hurts them
Yep.
that their kid isn't getting the results. It hurts them that their kid's team isn't having that positive experience
100%.
that they so crave and so want to happen. And so you get that. As a parent, you understand it. As somebody who lives in that community, you understand it. Nobody wants to have success more than the coach that's running the program. But at the same time, we're all ticked off when it doesn't work out,
100%.
when it doesn't happen, when either a player doesn't perform at a level or a coach puts you in a bad situation. We're all extremely upset. Sometimes you just got to take it on the chin and say, hey, it's the way it goes. But it's also one of the things that drives you.
Yep.
It's one of the things that makes you want to be better as a coach and, more importantly, wants to win games, not because of what, the final score was, but because of the way it makes people feel. Because of the way it makes that community feel, because of the way it makes Saturday at the grocery store feel, because of the way it makes Sunday in the church pew feel. Everybody's excited. Everybody feels good. Same thing when Tennessee wins a big game. There isn't a bigger day than church the next morning after a Saturday night, beating of Alabama. Man, everybody showed up in the congregation that Sunday.
And
a lot of them.
And everybody was tithing too.
And everybody was tithing. Everybody had their answered prayers. That's the world we live in, especially here in the South, where football is so important to so many people.
Yep. And that's the one thing too, is like Brody got hurt last year. Obviously, Brock's coming up behind him, but Brody's my high schooler right now.
Yep.
So he literally missed 25% of his high school athletic life. Like this, boom, done, over. So now I'm guaranteed, as his father, 30 opportunities to watch my son. Guaranteed opportunities. Josh will get mad at me. Hopefully we get more than 30.
Yes.
And knock on wood, he stays healthy.
Correct.
But
That's the tricky part that
yeah,
is never accounted.
you never know. So 30 opportunities to watch him play high school sports in person in this intimate community feel.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons, just to be 100% blunt, that we're at Bearden now. Is I tortured myself. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I tortured myself and went to the Bearden Farragut game last year. I got a lot of kids here that go to Bearden. I got a lot of kids that go to Farragut. Regardless of where Brody is, I have to support everybody in this town because these are my Triple F kids.
That's right.
And from the Jackson Mayos over with you to the Trevor Duncans at Catholic, my kids at I got kids everywhere.
That's right.
We're in 48 schools, bro.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
That is awesome.
So I have to support everybody. Now, on Friday nights, if my kid's playing, I'm going to hope we win.
That's right.
But I went to the Bearden Farragut game, and I just stood there, and I'm like, this is high school football to me. It's all I know. Powell Halls, Powell Maryville, Powell Central.
That's right.
That's the way I grew up. It's community. It means something to these people. Like it literally it's not just frustration that their specific kid was impacted poorly. They don't even have a kid on the team, and they're still there.
Nope. Haven't had a kid on the team in 20 years.
And they're still there.
It's just what you do on Friday night.
100%. And I went home and told Alicia, and we had a great experience at Catholic. You'll never hear me say a negative thing about Catholic, but I went home and told Alicia, I'm like, man, I shouldn't have gone over there.
Yeah.
Like that felt like home, so to speak. Same reason I moved back to Knoxville, Tennessee, after I've been all over the world.
Correct.
Because this is home.
You could have lived anywhere.
When it feels right, it just felt like, man, this is special. This is what Knoxville, Tennessee high school football is all about, and it started at Powell High School. Are y'all running out to Welcome to the Jungle again? I hope. I heard it got canceled for a while.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay,
We got Welcome to the Jungle Blast, and we got our signs up. We got all the same old. And finally, I don't want to let too many cats out of the bag. We finally are going to have black uniforms again.
Nice.
So there's been some things that have happened over the last couple of years that didn't go in our favor, but I think we're finally over that hurdle, and we finally can get black on black again.
Well, you're the one that had to go Jordan, so everybody think you're awesome because
you have to.
And then you got the Jordan. Jordan was the issue, right? Because you couldn't get the black. Now you got the black. I love it. I love it, man.
We did everything we could within our system to try and make that happen, and we just couldn't make it happen. But finally, it looks like it's going to work itself out.
You're the only team in town with Jordan, huh?
3 years ago, we were one of 200 schools in the entire country that was a Jordan-sponsored school. Yep. Now, since that time, Nike has started slowly allowing other schools to get alternate uniforms that are Jordan brand.
Oh, nice.
A lot of the Nike schools are now allowed to get it. So we're not the only ones with Jordan uniforms in town. In 2020, I guess it was, we were one of 200 schools in the entire country. There were 3 in the state that were Jordan-sponsored schools. And so since then, they've loosened up a little bit on who can have some of that apparel.
Yeah, that Jumpman's strong, man. Even in the NFL, dudes love it. And it's always the premier guys. Jordan doesn't mess with anybody unless unless it's dudes.
And that's a lot of that's we have some great people who did a great job of setting that all up and negotiating and certainly promoting the hound out of it. But at the same time, for me in the era that I grew up in, anything Jordan, anything with that logo on it, I want a piece of it. To get a small glimpse of what greatness really was at the time that I was coming up and growing up, to watch him and in any way be associated with who he is and what all he's accomplished athletically. I'll put his logo on anything.
No question. I tell people all the time, I was with Tom Brady for a very short time. And this is not an anti-Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. Like, those guys are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
They don't even know my name. All right? Those guys are special. But there's a reason only one dude has won that many.
Yep.
Like, he was Jordan. That's how he operated. Like, he didn't care if you liked him. He wasn't trying to make friends until practice was over and the game was over. And watching what was the Jordan documentary? What was it called?
I don't know, but it was
awesome.
It was some of whatever it was, 15 hours of some of the best television you could ever watch.
Unbelievable. And it's like the 30 days I was with Tom, it was the same thing. And I know Peyton was a lot like that. He was very unpleasant at times. Correct. I've heard some awesome stories about Peyton. I won't talk on here, but Peyton was ruthless, man. Because
but those guys demand for greatness on a daily basis. Had nothing to do with the game.
No question.
It was on a daily basis and on daily preparation. How you prepared for that Sunday, in y'all's case, was what was going to determine how successful you were going to be. And that's where those guys separated themselves from everybody else.
No question. The Rob Boris. Give a shout out to my man Rob Boris, tight end coach of the Buffalo Bills. Rob's been a tight end coach 20 years in the NFL. He's coordinator for a couple years. He called it the 7 Ps. Got it. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Prior proper, that's what he tells us all the time. Like, we'd be like, Rob, do we really got to meet? Give us, like, my ADD's fired up. I'm going to go pee. You just peed 5 minutes ago, Lee. Sit down and shut up, and we have to get this in, Tight ends are the stepkids of every team. The coordinator wants you for pass, the line wants you for run, and you never get any individual time.
You're nothing but a hybrid.
No question.
All you do is you're part of everything else. You're not anything on its own. You're not a ball catcher. You're not a block. You're part of everything.
Correct. So we don't get individual time. And I always said, go out to practice. We'll go practice in the parking lot. The offensive line has their end zone. Then they start running routes on air with the receivers. They're throwing balls into our individual drills. Yeah. It's like, hey, man, we'll go practice outside.
Yeah.
So, but prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. I'll never forget it. The 7 Ps. He was big on that, man. And I appreciate that. Sean McDermott and those guys up in Buffalo were big on that kind of stuff. But it's true. And some of those elite guys, that's what, I was with Josh when he was young. I was with Derek Carr when he was young, and it's hard for young quarterbacks to be that way. You have to kind of earn your way into that Peyton, Tom kind of ish.
That's not an easy group to get to be even in talks about.
Are you kidding me? When you have Charles Woodson on the team and you're a second-year quarterback in Derek Carr, you're not gonna be that way.
Nope.
Once you throw for 10,000 yards, if you're that type of personality and all those different things, but. Jordan.
At the quarterback position, it's once you've won games.
No question.
And that's what is so different. There are so many great football players all throughout the league. And at so many of those other positions, you can have individual incredible years, put up great numbers, great stats. But at the quarterback position, does he win? At the end of it, that's what that position is all based on. That's what that position is all at the end of who is the best ever, who won the most. Correct. Because the number one job of the quarterback is to lead the team to win. And so there's arm talent, there's foot talent, there's guys that are great in preparation, great at making decisions. But at the end of it, did he win? 100%. Did he win Super Bowls, and how many did he win? Was he a leader of men, and could he get it done when it counted?
Yep. And that's what makes Josh Allen so special. Like, that dude, Monday mornings for him is not fun, right? And he's him and Sean up in Buffalo. There's been a lot of stuff lately about changing his style of play and. Josh is saying all the right things right now, but he ain't changing nothing until his body lets him down.
That's
right? He can't help it. And obviously in the playoffs and different things down the line, Josh will get better and better and better. But he's a different player than Pat and some of these guys.
That's right.
But the dude wins.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean he's going to throw for 300 yards every game. He might throw 4 interceptions in a game because he's trying to win this thinking game on every play.
That's right.
And he doesn't care what it takes. If he has to sacrifice his body, if he has to hand the ball off every play, if he has to throw for 500 yards, he doesn't care. Nope. And that's how Tom was all those years in New England. You see their offenses. He wasn't setting the league on fire throwing for 5,000 yards every year. He'd turn around and hand it off every play if that's what needed to happen.
Yep.
And that's how Josh is. And so many times in the huddle, he's like, kind of looking around. He hears the play. He's like, I'm just gonna run this baby. And I'm like, I know that ain't what just got called, but he's going to get the first down.
Yep.
And Lamar Jackson, some of those guys are the same way. What comes in their headset and what they tell the guys in the huddle, it's like, no, I got it, boys.
They're ball players,
No
and they've been ball players their whole life. They were ball players in high school. They were ball players in college. Coach, just give me the ball.
Give me the ball.
It's 3rd and 2. It's the 4th quarter. Just give me the ball. We're going to go be successful. I'm going to take option 1 that you've called, but if that's not there, I'm keeping it, and I'm going to make something happen.
I love it. Well, what do you think about Triple F, man? Talk to me. Give me some criticism. Nobody will give me any criticism. Give me some criticism.
I'll give you some criticism on Triple F. It's not overly convenient to get to. All right?
Love that.
It's not
From
overly
from
convenient.
Powell.
From Powell, from certain parts of the Knoxville area, it takes a little bit of navigation and communication to get here.
Love that.
So, if there was a number 1 criteria of criticism, that would probably be it.
Of course, you would have wanted me to build it on Emory Road, right across from Powell High School, probably.
Right in the backyard. I would have
enough.
showed you the plot of land if you wanted. I could have probably set you up with the agent to get that done.
I'm sure the Baileys have it up for sale.
100%. But when it all comes down to it, the second you walk in this facility, you realize it's different. The second you walk in here, you realize it's different. And then, the great thing is, obviously, your social team's unreal. What they document, what they show people is going on here, whether it's the young kids, whether it is the aspiring middle school and high school kids that have aspirations of not only getting better for their season that's coming up, but for what potential they might have to play after high school someday, or whether it's your adult group who just wants to get in here with a bunch of other like-minded people. Some of them are here to be, gung-ho serious and get just absolutely jacked. Some of them are in here just to get a sweat and have some fun and to do things differently than they've been doing them. Yep. And that's what I feel like you guys are showing. There's a different way you can do things. There's a science that comes to it, but then there's a fun aspect that can be broke down with it as well. There's a lot of great people in town that are training people, that are doing things that are certainly improving people's lives. What you guys are doing here, has stamped your flag right in the middle of it, and you've told everybody we're different than everything else. Yep. And now it's about producing those results because you're different. But people are going to come here, they're going to have fun, they're going to get better shape or improve the skill set that they're looking to improve. And then on top of that, they're going to make, relationships and lifetime memories while they're here, while they're going through all those other things.
I love it, man. That's so funny you say that because I will never claim. I think we're the best, but I'm also understanding that there's a million ways to skin a cat. There's so many folks in this town.
There's no way to define best.
No question. So there's your offense, Josh Jones's offense. Guess what? Both of you are great football coaches. You love kids. Here we go.
Yep.
Let's see who wins the game. I don't think we play each other though.
Ever.
Yeah. So, but I'll always be unapologetic for how we do things here because I'm convicted. My team is convicted in the way we do things, and all I care about is impacting people.
Yep.
So as long as those kids down there are fired up and thriving, and shout out to my girl Allie Sykes, Daniel Evans for all the social media, Allie back here in the background, rocking and rolling. But they do such a great job, man, and the kids love it. Like when we post them, you love on them, whether you're the 6th grader who can't jump over a penny or you're Trevor Duncan who's a Power 5 football player.
Yep.
Like everybody's getting the love. We're just trying to build an environment, man, that – And that's aside from the fact that Rich is the best.
Rich is.
I will stamp that right now.
His knowledge and his resume, but his ability to get the most out of people. Yeah. I don't know that there's too many of those in the entire country. Certainly not in this small little sector that we live in.
Yeah. Rich is special, and the fact that God put us together and he's here is unbelievable. It was ordained for sure. Well, and one thing I'm so proud of, man, is that we put faith on the forefront. Right. And I'm a flawed, crazy joker, as you know. I'm so dang screwed up.
I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, right. But the fact that our Bible study numbers are growing, and that's what's cool is like, man, listen, everybody's flawed. Everybody's got their 10%, right? Jesus had to die on the cross for a reason. He didn't just say, hey, you know what, man, I'm going to go die for a bunch of perfect people because I want to suffer.
That's right.
No, man, it's like we're all screwed up. And sometimes I might get a little judgy on certain issues, and I guess that's human nature. I try not to. But, man, watching these kids really, really get fired up for Jesus inside this place. And it's not beat. We don't say the Lord's Prayer before every workout.
Right.
You know, we have kids in here of all different races and religions. Some of my staff has different religions.
Correct.
So, but just the loving environment, man, and having Jesus be present has been so cool. And I know how passionate you are about that.
What you're allowing to happen is the same thing that we allow to happen at Powell High School. They're going to know where we stand. They're going to know where our faith is, where our convictions are. We're never going to impose our faith on anybody else. We're never going to force it down anybody's throat. But we're certainly going to invite. We're going to invite the opportunity that if you want to be a part of it, come, hang out. We're going to share some of the founding principles of who we are that are biblical based. These are who we've grown up to be. These are the things that are important to us. These are the characteristics that make us different than some of the other people. I promise you we're going to mess up. I promise you there is none without sin. We are sinners over and over again. The difference is we know to repent from that sin. We know to turn that over and to ask for help. And that's all any of us are looking to do, whether it's by faith or whether it's by training, in a gym. We need help. We need help from each other. We're all human. We've got to rely on each other to get some of that foundation. And that's what being a Christian is all about, is getting together with other Christians and talking about some of the things that are and aren't working in our lives and finding biblical principles to base it on moving forward.
No question. And have you watched the show Chosen? You got to check it out, bro, with your wife and kids.
Is that one?
It's new. It's an app.
Okay,
it's called Chosen. It is awesome.
All right.
But it's like, it's not real complicated. Just try to be like Jesus every day. I'm Simon Peter at best, but like just chase after that dude. Chosen is you got to watch. It's literally Jesus' life,
and it's an app.
I'm horrible with technology.
Okay,
I think it's like an app.
I'll ask Allie when we get done. She could probably lead me.
But it's called Chosen. Look it up when you get home. My kids were craving it. They're like, when can we watch another episode? We're caught up now, so the next season hadn't come out. Jesus hasn't died yet in the show, but it's obviously coming. We all know how that story ends, or begins, however you want to look at it.
Correct.
But it's so cool, and it changed my life. Of like, man, I'm just gonna chase after that dude. They did a great job of showing who Jesus was.
Right.
And it's real. It's like right there, and my kids are like, man, I remember that story from Sunday school or whatever. And it was cool for me to watch that show to be like, I want to be like that dude.
Right.
Because I am so far from him right now. It's sad.
Correct.
So it's been cool, man. Just the athletic development, Rich coming into my life, the building getting built, me being from this town, you, just all the people around here. And that's the one thing we got to, I want to make sure I'm careful of is it's not just always football. I mean,
right.
For crying out loud, why is Lizzie not down here first off? That's my first question. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But just all these girls and the way the boys know how to behave when my girl members are in here and just the life impact, it fires me up, man. I'm excited, but I love you, bro. State champ. We couldn't get one together when I was there, but I'm glad you got one. The rezoning of Powell High School school district helped.
It certainly did.
We got a few more athletes over there these days.
It looks a little different than just Broad Acres and high school.
Yep. We had all the linemen you could dream of back in the day.
We had lots of big time, really skilled offensive and defensive linemen.
Nobody to throw the ball to.
There wasn't. It looked different.
Yeah. So good for you. I'm sure you've made that happen some kind of crazy way. But Jordan Brand, state champion. Like I said, the most misunderstood dude in this town. Biggest heart I've ever known. Loves kids, and I love you, man. Number one, and I'm proud of everything you've accomplished over there for those boys. And I know I'm across town now, but anything you ever need from me, just say the word.
Our friendship's always going to be the same. And Lee, you get to be the example of what Powell football, as long as I'm a part of, it's going to be something that's going to last past high school. You take care of your kids.
Yep.
And that's what it's always going to be about, taking care of your kids. You want the great experiences, but more importantly, you want to have an impact on somebody so that they can turn around and come back to town 15, 20 years later, and they can repeat the process of trying to help other people have success at a higher level. I love you. Anything you need, come on back anytime.
My dog, Hut.
Hut.
My man.